Okay, we will start 8-1. Let the people join within that time. Okay, so it's 8-1 and we will start the session. So, hello everyone. Good evening from India. I am Shikha Singh, volunteering as Vice President Professional Development at PMI Mumbai chapter. I hold a BE in Production Engineering from Mumbai University, Green Belt in Lean Six Sigma, and PMP certified from PMI. Professionally, I am working at LRQA Inspection Services India LLP at Mumbai and having over 18 plus years of experience in operations of inspection services and right now handling global projects. So I welcome everyone for today's PM Pit Stop session. But before starting this session, I will like to play a small video introduction of our upcoming PM Conclave Manthan, scheduled to happen on this weekend, 21st February 2026, which is our Silver Jubilee edition. So please have a look to this and register as soon as possible. Tushar, can you play the video, please? Thank you, Tushar, for the video, and we will move ahead with the session. So today's registration is 145 plus, and we are counting. So people who have registered and did not got the link, maybe check your spam folder. Please tell your friends to join us as soon as possible. So PM PITSTOP provides a platform where subject matter experts and project managers from many industries share their experiences and demonstrate the usage of various tools and techniques in their real world. And today's topic is Lead to Launch PM's Leadership Edge in Startups. And to present this topic, we have invited from PMI Bangalore, Mr. Eswar Prasad Manapuram. He is a program manager, PMI PMP, and PMI ACP. Eswar Prasad Manapuram is a program manager at Alstom, currently pursuing his PhD in entrepreneurship from Dayanand Sagar University. His diverse personal journey spans management, consulting, entrepreneurship, product, project, and program management. He holds an MS from the University of Houston, Texas, and an MBA from NMIMS Mumbai Satellite. A certified PMP, ACP, and SAFE SPC professional, he brings a rich blend of academic depth and hands on leadership experience. His guest lectures and research presentations have been featured at leading conferences, including IIM Ahmedabad, I am Kozhikode, I am Mumbai, IIT Madras, NITs, etc. He delivered corporate talks at PMI Bangalore, World Agility Conference, Agile Practitioners Group of India, Pune, etc. Beyond his corporate pursuit, Ishwar is an international chess player and coach, writer, and management trainer with a passion for mentoring basically startups, photography, travel, and healthcare innovation. His LinkedIn profile link has been shared in chat box. Please connect with him. Please keep posting in the chat box and same will be answered as soon as possible by the speaker. So you can post your questions in between the sessions also whenever you want to ask any question from him. And please note recording of this session will be posted on our YouTube channel PMI Mumbai chapter in a couple of days. So I request Ishwar to start his session please. Thank you.
Thanks, Shikha, for the great introduction. So, with no further ado, let's get started. Quick acknowledgement, Shikha, if my voice is audible, screen is
Yes.
visible.
Yeah, you can make it slideshow.
I think now it should be inside. Yeah, all
Yes.
good?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Hello, everyone. A very good evening. And first of all, thanks a lot for joining. Actually, during very late hours in the Indian time, you all must have been really exhausted uh, after a very tiring day at work. So I hope that this session will bring in a lot of value. And as Shikha already mentioned, I would prefer getting the questions right away instead of waiting until the end. So with that, we'll get started. So the title is Lead to Launch and the PMs. Now here, PM is project manager, since contextually this is the Project Management Institute Forum. PM's leadership edge in startup. Basically, edge here means the competitive advantage project managers have in startups. If um, any role for that matter has some kind of a competitive edge, but today we'll see how, in particular, project manager has that edge over others when it comes to starting up. All right, so we'll quickly go through a very unofficial poll, which is the leadership poll. And then, yeah, first we'll take the poll and then go back to the agenda and see the other topics. Now, you can feel free to just add in the chat, or if you want to unmute and talk, it's fine as well, but I prefer having it in the chat. So the first question is, what according to you is the most important aspect needed for a successful leader? So now here we have a mix of audience, I know. But for the first question, assume the context is the corporate setup and we are talking about established companies. So for a successful leader, what's the most important aspect? Is it the technical skills or the people skills, conceptual skills? If you are choosing others, please comment. Okay. So I'll wait. Okay. We started getting answers. People skills, people skills, people skills. Unanimously, people skills so far. 1 to 2. Technical and people skills. Okay. People skills. Predominantly, it's people skills so far. So I'm assuming in the audience we have a lot of project managers more than anybody else. There we can see a 3, which is conceptual skills. Good. I like this answer from Rupchand. At leadership level, people skills, at start, technical skills, metrics keeps changing as you grow. Great answer. But I'll hold on, wait till the end for the answer. But you almost cracked it, Rupchand. Um, yeah, so we have got a mix of answers. All right. I think with this we can move to the second. Um, or still we are getting answers. Okay. All right. I think now we can move to the second question. Now, pretty much question is the same, except for the fact that this time a successful leader is from a startup company. Assume you're a founder, and what's the most important aspect for you? Like purpose and passion, or team and systems and processes, or culture and values, or the principles. If you go with others, I would like to see some comments like the ones that we already saw for the first question. Okay, Prathamesh says purpose and passion. Purpose and passion. Okay. We are getting another different responses here too, to his teams and processes. Okay. Maybe I'll wait for one more minute. Yeah. Purpose and passion, culture and values. 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. Nice. Horse of a different color. Great. Thanks, Sohan. Okay. 3. Finally, we have a different answer here. Culture and values. All right. Thanks for your very active participation. So what we'll do, as I mentioned here, wait till the end for the answer. And I think a couple of you have already cracked it. But let's move on. All right. So obviously, here, what is very important is the context. Context is the king, anywhere for that matter. Yeah. So in today's day and age, if you consider AI, artificial intelligence, here also context plays a very important role. So that is why we cannot, unless we give proper context, we do not usually rely on AI's output, isn't it? Which is why we tend to build RAG systems or we do LLM fine tuning, all of that to incorporate the context. Yeah. So here, since this is my first slide, for the rest of the content in the slides, when I speak about a project manager, just don't think it is a first line management or a manager who does only operational stuff. So consider senior project managers, program managers, directors as well. So please don't restrict the scope to first line management. It is both, it's all three: first line, middle management, which is tactical, and top management, which involves a lot of strategy. Now, when I refer to founders, I am referring here to all three stage founders: early stage, growth stage, mature stage. We will talk towards the end what the 0 to 1, 1 to 10, and 10 to 100 mean. So, as I was mentioning, right, definitions usually change according to the context. All right, now, so the context here is how does a project manager get that edge or the competitive advantage? Yeah. Now, balance is the key. So the first figure that you see here, now you tend to do a lot of balancing acts. By the way, I purposely brought the AI picture here just to indicate that even I was balancing work life and also, doing a lot of things. So there are mistakes in the first chat, and it was done on purpose. It is completely made by AI, and the prompt was simple. The of course, it's not simple. It was probably a 20 to 30 liner prompt. but then again, the essence here is the importance of balancing two equally important priorities. So in the first chart, you see a lot of parameters getting balanced. Now, again, the question is, which one is important? Basically, both are important. But again, it depends on the context. If the situation demands speed, you have to go with speed versus quality. Of course, quality is also non-negotiable, but then at times you'll have to go with speed. Same is the case with others. And one of the important things that I want to tell here for the leaders is the data-driven insights versus the gut feeling. Now, since we are in the world of AI, majority of the leaders I come across are data-driven, which is not wrong. Yeah. You have to take decisions based on data, but then if the data is coming from an incorrect source, then your entire interpretation goes for a toss. That is where we'll have to mix our experiences, gut feelings, and take a call. So again, context is the key. Now, balancing these parameters is really important, and we get to see not just project manager, but many roles doing this balance. But if you see the exact parameters, pretty much more or less, these parameters are applicable more for a project manager role than any other role. Now, speaking of startups, if project management is one thing, startup is altogether a different ballgame, isn't it? It involves anything to everything. So, as you can see in the picture, there are so many moving parts, and it's really, really difficult to balance. As a founder, one of the toughest things is to balance all these parameters. Now, on to your right. Let me see if I can use. So, towards your right, now we all know this is the iron triangle of project management, or the triple constraints: cost, scope, time. Of course, quality is non-negotiable, which is in the center. Now, one of the most important traits of a project manager, I should say, is balancing these three parameters, or in fact, the four parameters. I haven't seen even a single project manager who could navigate or maneuver all the four very efficiently. It's always a trade-off. Yeah. Now, when you keep doing this balancing act of maneuvering scope, cost, quality, time, you get a lot of entrepreneurial capabilities. You develop a lot of founder traits within you. And I don't think there could be a better person than a project manager in terms of balancing things. Of course, product managers also do. That is why I was not restricting the scope of a project manager to only a project manager, but also across all the three levels. Now, what's the solution? Solution is you'll have to be purpose driven. Why are you even trying to balance things? Why are you even starting up in the first place? Why do you want to get into project management? Why are you even handling projects? And then once your purpose is clear, you get into strategic planning, where you do a lot of forward thinking, and you'll establish goals to achieve your vision, objectives, and everything. And of course, contextually, things keep changing. And a very, very important trait for both a project manager and a startup founder is prioritization. Again, it's not just a product manager who takes care of prioritization, but everyone does. Of course, in the early stage startups, a founder is basically more of a product manager than anybody else. And throughout the execution, he or she is a project manager. And we will also see how to delegate and do a lot of governance. Okay. So before moving to the next slide, I'll just quickly check if there are any questions. No, not as of now. So I'll move to the next slide. I'm sure majority of you know this. This is Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, very famous. And I would like to really uh, honestly tell you something. I had been going through many books, self-help books especially. But then I would enjoy a lot. But then the essence really hit only when I understood the purpose. So there are n number of books, right? So knowing your why, which is the purpose, is absolutely the most important thing. So while different forms of leadership styles are equally important, I think to start with, it's basically the purpose-driven leadership. Whether you want to start your own firm or you would like to, you know, get into new initiatives in your job roles before taking up promotions or any activities for that matter, we'll have to start asking ourselves, why do we need this? If the intent is not in the right direction, I don't think it is going to be a sustainable thing. Hope you agree with me. And yeah, this is a very sustainable model, both for founders and PMs. And we should keep asking this question, why are we doing what we are doing? Now, so to understand this, let me detour a little bit and talk about design thinking. I hope many of you know what design thinking is. And in the context of product management, design thinking is basically two diamonds, which wherein the first diamond is the problem space and the second diamond is the solution space. Now, in the first diamond, which is the problem space, you get to, you know, so why is it a diamond in the first place? Diamond is like this, right? So you brainstorm all the problems that you have initially, which is why the diamond initially is diverging. And then after a certain point, you'll have to converge and prioritize only few problems. You cannot solve all the problems on this earth, which is why we'll have to prioritize based on the customer's need and context and many other factors. We'll start prioritizing the problems and we end up picking just 2 to 3 most pressing problems. And then comes the solution space, which is the second diamond. For each problem, you get into n number of solutions. You diverge, that is why the diamond again diverges for the solution space. And then at some point, again, you will have to find the most optimal solution for these problems. As a founder, startup founder, more often than not, you don't have ample resources in your hand. You more or less keep working with very few resources, right? In which case, this design thinking becomes even more important. Yeah. Now, in the context of leadership, the same double diamond design thinking model can be thought of as the first diamond which is the problem space, indicates the leadership, and the second diamond indicates management. There are many differences between a leader and a manager. I'm sure majority of you are familiar with that. But then contextually, what I want to bring up here is doing the right things is leadership. Doing things right is management. Now, the first diamond, which is leadership, is doing the right things. Now, how can you identify whether you are doing the right thing or not? That is where the purpose comes into play. If you are crystal clear on your why, then your North Star or your vision is very clear. So start with why, or start with the purpose, or in the leadership definition of design thinking, start with the leadership diamond. And once your journey triggers, you will move into the solution space, which is the management space. And in the management space, you try to optimize things. It's all about execution here. You optimize, doing the things right. Now, just assume you're not getting the first diamond correct, and you're directly jumping into the second diamond. You probably are doing wrong things the right way, which probably is not aligned to your vision. Yes or no? Which is why, if you're starting a new venture or setting your career path, it's better you start with why, purpose. If the purpose is clear, no stopping you. With all the experience we have, I'm sure we can do things the right way. Yeah. Perfect. I'll again pause here for questions because this is a juncture where I want to go to the next slide. Okay, I think people are acknowledging things are good. So let's move to the next slide. All right. Now, effective delegation versus the doer mode. Now, this is one of the most important things. People come to me. First, probably I'll start with the first line managers or even the middle managers. I mean, this predominantly happens when a project manager becomes a program manager. So when you step into the middle management in your career, obviously you will start seeing things at scale, and you will be overloaded with a lot of work. And if you are still in the doer mode, which is, the first line managers, if you are doing things yourself, because you probably have one or two projects, not more than that. There are always exceptions though. And so people come to me and say, sir, I was a very good project manager, but then when I stepped into this program manager role or the next level role, I'm really struggling. So the key here is people have to start delegating. I know many of you know, but then what the point I'm trying to drive home here is we'll have to scale through delegation. There are many misconceptions out there in the market, especially in middle management and below, where people say, if everything others do, what are we doing? No, we are supposed to build systems that multiply. We have to build processes and systems that scale. and more importantly, without our intervention. Now, where the founder leader hat, early stage founders also, I keep hearing this. Oh my God, Ishwar, it's getting really hectic. I don't know if I have to manage operations, supply chain, logistics, marketing, sales, product development. What should I do? Right? It's getting really overwhelming. Again, the answer is you'll have to get things done. So, getting things done is an art. And when you delegate, I'm not just saying just give this work to someone and you rest. Accountability still lies with you. You'll have to have those governance checkpoints in place, the weekly cadences, daily cadences, whatever. You'll have to build those systems. Now, speaking of getting things done, I don't know, in a very old video from Barack Obama, he was mentioning one of the most important skills for a leader is to get things done. Yeah. Now it's easier said than done. Different people behave differently. No one size or a fits all, right? Meaning one silver bullet is not a solution for everything. And how will you get things done? Again, it's both a science and an art, which project managers, I would say, excel. Of course, there are many jokes. We know only how to get things done, but don't know how to do things. That's a different story, but it's okay. Because when you're scaling, when you're moving from early stage startup to growth stage, you have to start building a team, empower them, delegate them, and get things done. Otherwise, sure, you will be in a burnout mode all the time. That is not good for you, your family, anybody. Same is the case with corporate leaders, whichever hierarchy you are in. You'll have to start delegating. Yeah. Now, Ankur Variko, I wanted to talk about one of the very good entrepreneurs, I should say. So he has a book called Get Epic Shit Done. And again, even in that book, he mentions very clearly you will have to make sure you build processes that execute independently while maintaining quality standards. So think from an AI perspective also. For any AI model to run effectively, we need three basic things. One, data. Two, the algorithm or the basic model. Three, the computational power. Yes or no? These are the three basic things we need. Now, if you don't have things documented, if everything is oral, then I mean, I should not say in this forum, but one of the pitfalls of agile model at the ground level, not at the scale, safe framework, at other levels, but at the ground level is while really during execution, face-to-face interactions really speed up deliverables. However, it's very important to build systems because tomorrow when you use AI, you will have to give a lot of data. The more data you give, better your model will become. And if you don't have anything, if you have everything in personal conversations, if you are heavily dependent on people, then it's very difficult to build those systems that can scale automatically. So move from people dependency to processes or building systems. This is called scaling. Now, while I'm saying moving from people to process, I don't mean replace people with processes or systems or tools. What I rather meant was you have to build people. I mean, through delegation, you are in fact building people, isn't it? Through effective delegation, you are empowering them. Now, these people should be able to build these systems that can scale. Hope you got it right. Okay. Now, when you have these structures in place, then your AI models will also probably come up with the best possible solutions. Which is why we all know garbage in, garbage out. If you are writing a single prompt, you will get garbage as an output. However, if you are writing a very detailed prompt, you will see the power of AI. The detail your prompt is with context, background, audience, every single thing you put it, you will get the best output. So, if you want to build AI-enabled systems in future, you'll have to start building systems now that can multiply. Okay. So for founders out there, build a great team and delegate with effective governance, even for people in the corporate sector, project program directors, everyone. So again, I will pause for Q&A. Okay. Mitakshara says, very valid point. There has to be a people process connect in any organization. Absolutely, Mitakshara. Yep. So moving to the next one. Now, sorry. Eric Ries in the Lean Startup says, I am sure if you are coming from an entrepreneurial background, you must have read this book. Idea is only 5%. 95% is execution. Now, again, project managers are really good in execution. Of course, so far we spoke about purpose-driven leadership, which is strategic planning, I would say. It's definitely needed. But great ideas don't take shape unless there is proper execution. And again, here, PMs have this competitive advantage because I've seen many project program managers, directors, very strong in execution. I'm not saying doing themselves, getting things done from their team and executing. Yeah. And these are certain aspects like governance, we already spoke about, collaboration, leadership, communication, budget. Communication is one thing, again, PMs have a huge advantage. So structure plus governance is the key for building autonomous systems and processes. Again, we are a population in billions, if you consider the world population. I'm very sure whatever ideas we are getting, 100 others will also get. Now, where is this competitive advantage? Whether these ideas are executed and seen, if they can see the light at them, and only then it makes any sense for these ideas to even blossom. Yeah. So it's very important that you build those systems and execute them. So having ideas is absolutely one very good thing. Then taking them to closure through effective execution is the key. And that happens effectively through structure and governance. Okay. Now, continuing to speak on governance, uh, um, I shouldn't talk on behalf of the entire startup founder community or even the project management community or the corporate leader community here. But this is only my understanding. Don't get me wrong. Doing governance is actually a boring activity. Now, the definition of governance to me is, as I said, okay, you assign, as I told, it's very important that you build a team of 20, 30, 40 people. You assign tasks, you assign work to everyone, and you'll have to start. So this is the delegation, right? And effective delegation is you'll have to have checkpoints to review their work, give feedback, keep the ball rolling. Now, the most important thing here is the discipline. Um, while motivation really helps, especially when you are finding your why or during establishing a purpose driven leadership model, definitely motivation is important. But I'm sure we are not just doing our professional activities, we are into too many things. Motivation can fade away anytime. Of course, when your why is very strong, I don't think motivation will die so easily. However, motivation is a very good start. While motivation is great as a starting factor, what keeps you going through the execution journey is the discipline. Now, this discipline has a compounding effect, as you must be knowing. Small improvements, 1% daily, if you do 37 crores annually, you will see all of that, you know. But again, my personal experience, again, as I mentioned in my first slide, I believe, when I was speaking of context, the compounding effect didn't work in my contextual activities so well. I mean, these are gold standard things. Big authors have come up with these theories, no doubt about it. But I'll give you an example. If you focus on 1% improvement every day on something, um, for things, for activities that you are having a strategic view or activities that are not operational, it could be tactical or strategic. I think it's very difficult to see outcomes with this compounding effect because strategic initiatives take time and you just cannot allot 30 minutes for this activity and say, yeah, every day I'm working on this activity for 30 minutes and I'm progressing. No, you have to focus, you have to do deep work, and you'll have to keep moving. However, the point that I'm trying to drive here is in terms of discipline. Speaking of discipline, this really is an excellent tool to improve your discipline levels. focus on 1% improvement every single day consistently, you can see compounding effects at the end of the year. As we all know, we must have seen many quotations out there in the social media, which is very true, that people usually overestimate what they can do in an year's time compared to what they can do in the short term, which is 1 week, 10 days. Now, while you should have that strategic vision of what you're going to do in next 10 years, you have to have a backlog which should have activities until the next 10 years. But then it's equally important to prioritize short-term activities and get things going through disciplined efforts. Again, the balance thing is coming into play. Yeah. Now, the unglamorous truth is that consistent governance or discipline beats sporadic brilliance. Again, there are exceptions. We cannot generalize everything. The boring disciplines really compound trends into transformative outcomes. Now, if you see, majority of the staff, by the way, as part of my PhD work, as Shikha was mentioning in my introduction, that I'm pursuing PhD on entrepreneurship. I have rolled out probably some over 100 surveys to founders at all levels, early stage growth, mature, and also interviewed many founders, 30, 40 interviews, in detail interviews I took. And that is mandated by the PhD curriculum that you have in universities. There are few striking commonalities that I heard from people. Contextually, in this slide, one of the reasons why startups fail is lack of consistent efforts. You got to show up every single day, no matter what happens. If you are not able to do that, you are not fit for being a founder. Yeah. Now, facing difficulties and still being able to maintain this consistency is one of the very, very important traits of. And this point was brought up by one of the growth stage founders. And I kept on doing the interviews and surveys. This particular aspect kept repeating. I'll touch upon other aspects, what founders have shared with me through this session. But as it clearly says here, startups fail not from lack of ambition, but from inconsistent execution. Yeah. And again, we'll have to draw a balance from a corporate PM's standpoint. It's stall when they chase visibility over reliability. Okay. Now, these daily rituals, weekly, whatever cadence it is, daily, monthly, bi-weekly, it's very important that you review progress, take feedback, move on. And monthly reflections, by the way, probably you are seeing some project management methodology specific terms here, but I'm not a fan of any particular methodology per se, waterfall, agile, all of that. It's too much hype if you ask me. What is important is the outcome. As long as outcomes are strong, you really don't have to worry about what you're using. Again, hope people know the difference or the importance of the difference between output and outcome. Outputs, do I have this in any of the slides? No. Okay. And then explain. Uh, Output is, I sit in office 15-20 hours. Unfortunately, customer is not happy. Family is not happy because you're not giving them family time. Outcome is you do deep work for 5 to 6 hours, go home, have family time, customer is happy. That is outcome. However, this is one of the differences between the thought process here. In this example, I was talking only about the output and outcome being obviously way superior to output. But one thing I'll have to call out very clearly here is that it's very important to even get this outcome the right way. How you are getting things done, how are you making your customer happy or getting this customer delight, whatever, or you are getting your employee engagement really high. How you are doing it is also important. See, again, most of the middle managers and below, I get to hear this from them saying that, Ishwar, it's very important. See, all that matters is getting things done right. By hook or crook, whatever ways you have. Getting things done is the key. Of course, I agree. Outcome is important. No matter what you do, let's say, do whatever you're doing, customer is happy. Come back to me if customer is not happy, then I'll improve. This is usually what the argument I hear from middle managers and below. But one of the factors that is missing in this discussion is when you're getting things done, are you getting it the right way or not? Let's take a couple of examples. One, if you are a command and control leader like a Hitler, of course you're getting things done, customer is happy, but your team is not happy. They'll resign. So this is not a sustainable model. Okay, let's take the other instance also where both employees happy, customer is happy. For example, let's take one example. Um, you customer comes and tells you we have to reprioritize things. So the end user is demanding this feature to get in this release. Please prioritize. Then obviously the product managers, all of these people are the project managers or scrum masters, whoever, right, are there. They'll keep saying, okay, fine, we'll flush out some non-priority items in the list and get it done. If the customers are very demanding, they say, no, 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 we want everything to be delivered along with this new edition, scope that got added. Then what will we do? We end up getting things done by having our team stretch. And if you are a very people-centric person, then you will strike a balance saying that, okay, now you are stretching. Let's complete this delivery on time with quality, everything. Please stretch, get things done on time, and then take vacation next 2 to 3 days, which is fine. So in this second example, okay, in the first example, the leadership style, command and control is definitely not sustainable. On the contrary, if you speak about servant leadership, even that doesn't work in all cultures equally well. But okay, so that's an extreme example. The first one, it's a straight win-lose situation. But in the second example, it appears as if it's a win-win situation. Yes or no? Customer is happy. Team is also kind of happy, if not 100%. They are getting compost later. Yeah. So team is also happy. Now the important missing piece here is The way you're getting things done is very abrupt. Obviously, quality will take a hit. But let's say still team manages to deliver with quality. What is missing here is, remember I was talking about building systems. In the second scenario or the use case, what the manager did is basically he or she was dependent on the people and got things done, made the customer happy. But we are failing to build systems. We fail to build structure. Processes are not getting built. They are taking a hit because of this monkey patching activities or immediate activities that we have. So in the short term, tactically, for that particular 3-4 month release, things are awesome. We'll keep getting very good emails, appreciation emails from the customer, and we think we are doing great. But at the cost of not building scalable systems. Now, when this great team of yours, let's say again the 80-20 rule applies, in your team of 10, 8 people don't work much, only 2 people do all the hard work. I mean, the real outcome work, driven work. And when these 2 people resign, what will happen? Everything will go down the drain. Now, again, drawing a balance for startups. As a founder, you are great. You have very good competencies in multiple areas. You are doing great. You are getting short term wins very quickly. And you have become a hero as an early stage startup. You got your product market fit very soon. Launch your prototype market, got market validation, started working on final product, full blown product. Now, what's happening? This cannot continue for long because there is no proper structure in place. All the time. Okay, I'll give you yet another use case. Again, middle managers and below come to me and say, it's always firefighting. Our projects programs are always in firefighting mode. We have to quench the fire. Otherwise, the customer will escalate. Now, I'll pause here a bit and ask the audience this question. Why do you think few projects or programs always in firefighting mode? While you're writing your answers in the chat, I'm just going through the questions here. Sarang says, which one is most important, motivation or discipline? I'll answer this towards the end because again, remember the poll questions that I had, it's more or less similar. So I'll answer towards the end. And why, even the why explanation also I'll give. Mitakshara says, as a mentor to startups for business operations, I feel startups fail as they do not focus on building. Excellent. Rather aim for rapid expansion on vague ideas. Perfect. Hit the bullseye. Very nice. Rachit says, no periodic assessment and ownership. Exactly in firefighting projects. Non-clarity of scopes, capacity planning. Yeah, all this is fine. I'm not denying. Capacity planning is bad. You don't forecast people's leaves or other things, and you just commit to the customer, and you end up in a very bad state. Poor capacity planning, I totally agree. Non-clarity of scopes, yeah. See, one thing I'll tell you, who is that? Herman, right? Herman. Non-clarity of scopes. See, these days, yeah, see, scope management is very tricky. Huh? If you are working in a client vendor model, we tend to blame the client, always saying that uh, you're not clear with the scope. You keep changing the scope often, and it's very difficult. No matter if you're using agile model where you get into a 2 week cadence, you reprioritize everything, and whatever scope gets added, you will handle it in the upcoming sprints. All of that is fine. Still, of course, when the development starts with non-clear scope, obviously rework happens. You will have to redo your development again. That is there. But try to empathize with the customer also. We are living in money times, VUCA world, brittle, non-linear, all of that. You have, right? Money or VUCA, volatile, uncertain, all of that. We are living in an uncertain world. How can we expect the customer to know? How can we expect the customer to know everything upfront? This reminds me of when I was doing MBA from Narsimonji. My marketing management professor would say one thing on a lighter note. First law of marketing is customers themselves don't know what they want. And it is very relevant now. I mean, this point was made more than a decade ago, or even further back in, I don't know, yeah, more than a decade ago now. But it still is very, very relevant because the uncertainty that we are living in, the environment, the uncertainty levels are spiking exponentially. So stop blaming your customer. You have to figure out a way to work with the given scope. Yeah. Anyway, we'll the point that Rachit made here, no periodic assessment and ownership. Excellent. That was spot on. Because no periodic assessment, that is one of the definitions of governance. One of the parts of aspects of governance. Governance, you have a regular cadence and you do assessments, take feedback, move on. Now, firefighting happens when you don't build systems, no process in place, nothing. You get work, do, forget. No best practices, nothing, everything again falls apart. Tactical or maybe operational. Tactically, you're really good, but it is taking a huge impact, negative impact on your strategy of building systems that should scale. Yeah. Now we will see the other responses here. Not having clear, tangible aims, timelines, and resources. Yes, uncertain scope. We already discussed this. Regular communication, asking the right questions and guiding them towards for designing deliverables to suit their ultimate purpose is a key to successful delivery. All this is fine. All of you are right in some sense or the other. But the point I'm driving home here is once you start building systems that start scaling automatically, you will stop seeing that drama where your customers come and escalate all the time and the firefighting happens. Yeah. All right. So we'll move to the next. Yeah, this is my last slide. The PM Edge leadership model. Now, what is this model we are talking about? We have been talking about the project managers having competitive advantage over uh, others in terms of starting their own ventures. Yeah. In other words, PMs could become really great founders and all of that. Now, this slide answers the questions and the poll because this is the last one. Yeah. So now, again, context is the king, remember? So I was asking you which parameter is more important: technical skills, conceptual skills, people skills, all of that. One of you got the answer right. It all depends on the context or in which phase or the stage of the journey you are in. Similarly, on the second poll question, I was asking, is purpose important, passion important, or building team or systems processes is important, or the culture is important? What is important? I mean, everything is important, no denying that. However, at what stage? Now, 0 to 1 is, again, it's a startup terminology, right? In entrepreneurship, you have 0 to 1. There are very good books on 0 to 1. So the basic definition here is 0, you're starting from scratch. You have got absolutely nothing in place. Clean slate. 1 is um, maybe you're at the verge of hitting the product market fit. So your MVP is out, your basic, you have identified your customers, potential customers, and also have probably acquiring the customers initially. Again, I didn't say you have achieved product market fit, but uh, you're almost getting there. Of course, there are very different definitions of product market fit. I don't want to get into that topic now, but one thing I would like to tell you is a product market fit is achieved when you have repetitive customers. It's not one customer. I gave my MVP, sold the product, done over. Now I'm launched my product in the market and I'm scaling. No, customer retention, acquisition is repetitive, all of that. Yeah. So that's the definition of 0 to 1. Contextually, I clarified the definition of 0 to 1. Yes. Now, in this particular phase, if you are a startup founder, purpose and passion dominate. And if you are on the first line management in the corporate ladder, technical skills, hands on execution are critical. Remember, just imagine your why is not strong, your purpose is not clear. You somehow manage to, luckily, got into 1 to 10. Now, 1 to 10 here is 10x scaling from one product market fit to growth stage phase. Let's say you somehow made it. If your foundation is not strong, if the purpose is not strong, by the way, I personally believe creating an impact is more important than chasing money. If you are if you are chasing a vision that benefits society and world at large, money will come to you as a byproduct. You can quote whatever. I'm not quoting nature or any other references directly here. This is out of my personal experience. So the purpose is important. Why are you doing what you're doing is important. Correct. Remember the first diamond, leadership, doing the right things. The right things is the purpose. If you don't get the basics right, I'm sure you're not going to end up in point number 3, which is 10 to 100 phase. Even if you land there, your legacy will not continue. It will collapse one day. We have seen many examples, Byju's, all many case studies. See, I'm not saying the way to get to your purpose also should be linear. It can go whatever way it is. North Star is fixed, vision is fixed. The steps, the goals, objectives that you build to get there can change. Approach can change. Many things can change in the middle. But if you keep pivoting your vision all the time, then you don't have a strong purpose. Then obviously you cannot scale really big. Even if you scale, it will plummet one day. Yeah. Now, hence the answer. Now I'll respond to uh, one of the questions we had. Right? Is motivation more important than discipline? Of course, motivation is important when you are defining your purpose. If you don't have proper intent of working, you will never work the right way. Quality will take an impact. If you're interested in something, passionate about something, then it will lead you to identifying the purpose, which is why motivation is important at this stage. And once your purpose is clear, I'm sure you don't need others to tell you what to do. You will be on autopilot mode. You will keep doing things because you like what you're doing. That is when discipline is needed to scale, which is in the step 2. If you don't have proper discipline in place, you cannot scale. Consistency takes a hit. Hence, discipline is also important. See, you can do random things with motivation and build a POC and probably get some few customers initially. But you cannot scale without building proper systems or having effective delegation mechanisms or governance. That is point number 2. Team and systems become paramount in this phase. 10x when you are trying to scale 10x from phase 1 to phase 2. It's very important you build a very good team. Building a team is very difficult. I'm sure many of you agree with me. Right. And now here, obviously, when you're working on building a team, your people skills become all the more important. Every individual is different. It's not easy to handle everyone with one magic wand. Yeah. And process building separates scaling from stalling. Delegation is everything in this stage. Now here in step 3, when you move, culture and values, the 10 to 100 is like yet another 10x growth. Now your culture, values, principles, again, example, Tata's, that should be very strong to sustain growth. As I told you, fortunately, you went to the top. Staying there in this competitive environment is very tough. What really matters there is the culture. The board of directors, if they are coming from different cultures, we have seen in Infosys what happened. Yeah. Sika versus Narayan Murthy, cultural differences, in-house versus consulting. I mean, delegate, giving to others and getting things done instead of building our own in-house competencies. Cultural differences will make or break the company. suddenly things will plummet. While these parameters or aspects are important in all the phases, I meant certain parameters have bigger role to play in certain phases. Hope it's clear. Yeah. So as a leader, um, conceptual skills and strategic thinking pursue what made you successful while enabling evolution. Hence, leadership edge isn't fixed, it evolves with your journey. And there is a wonderful phrase, many of you know, I guess. What got you here won't get you there. What got a startup early stage founder to PMF, product market fit, or the start of growth phase, will not take him or her to the matured stage. It's a totally different ballgame altogether. That is why we say, right, when people are promoted, people will become dysfunctional because it's very difficult to handle the after they get promoted. It's very difficult to handle that level intensity of challenges that you have. So if you operate in your older ways, it won't work. Just because you got promoted with certain skills, competencies, if you replicate them, they will not take you to the next stage. Same with corporate leaders or startups. So you'll have to embrace the shift. Now, the way you embrace the shift is again going back to the purpose. If your purpose is very strong, if your why is very strong, you will enjoy this journey and embrace the shift instead of complaining. So the message is embrace the change. We are in a VUCA world, we are changing. If we are worried that the AI is taking away jobs, sorry, in in the situations of diversity, I mean adversity, you also as a leader should find opportunities. So start embracing, right? So with this, I'll close. In the interest of time, I think at least 13 minutes for the last leg of the session. I'll just check if there are any further questions. Um, Otherwise, I'll leave the floor open to further questions if you want to interact. And over to you, Shikha.
Yes, thank you, Ishwar. What a wonderful session. Very different from all the topics. And I will request all the attendees to please post their questions. Meanwhile, I'll ask my question as I always do. So, Ishwar, as I discussed with you, this is like since my PMI, I have Tushar. Okay. So, as I discussed with you, I have done my PMP in 2020 during lockdown. So, since then, I was doing some PMI volunteering, started PMI volunteering with PMI Mumbai chapter and PMI also on a global level. So, since my PMI volunteering days, I always came across a phrase while attending various conferences, PMI events, and that is real project managers chase storms. So, I request to please share your views on this.
Yeah. Uh, Real project managers chase storms, right? I think I touched upon a bit in the session where I was asking people why certain projects and programs are always in firefighting mode. Yeah. So that's the storm. The project or the program is in storm. And we have to extinguish the fire immediately as project managers. Now, here is the difference between the real project manager and somebody who is not that effective project manager. Yes, a real project man. Okay, I'll start with somebody who is not that real or effective project manager. Of course, with all the project management skills, due respect to all the project managers out there who are very new, they will do the fire, I mean, extinguish the fire. The storm will calm down. Great job. But they tend to forget after that. No lessons learned. That something came, we extinguished, stopped the storm, that very soon they'll get into the same situation again. Yes or no? That is why this where approach is from a ineffective project manager's approach. Now the real project manager will chase the storm, meaning while they're extinguishing, they'll not stop. They'll keep chasing by building systems and processes that will scale themselves, as I mentioned, without anybody's intervention. They'll go in the autopilot mode. And that is when the chances of getting storm again is very less. So they are in PMP standards, if I have to talk. Lessons learned is done. You go back, reflect, you make sure it doesn't happen again. That is the differentiator between a real project manager. They stop the storm, of course. That's the need of the hour. You will have to stop. But then they have a strategic mindset also, where you'll have to start preventing the storm from coming again. That is when you start building process and systems. This is my take.
Yeah, very well said. Yeah, I truly agree with you. So as of now, we don't have any questions. So I think I request everyone to please post your question in the chat box. We have 10 more minutes to left to go to end the session. Sujit Nair, do you want? Okay, there's a one another question from the same person, Sarang Shah. He's asking how much lesson learned is important for project management.
There is no fixed number as such, Sarang. Uh, I mean, I believe in being a lifelong learner. I keep learning beyond my project management role and responsibilities. So, as such, I wouldn't say there is a specific number. However, it's very important that after the close of every project, you will have to document the lessons learned so that, remember, I was talking about moving, I mean, getting rid of the dependency on people. Tomorrow you quit, move to another project. The project should not suffer. So you document somewhere and you will enable the AI systems to build on top of that. Yeah. So lessons learned should be a continuous activity. There is no fixed number to it. But then you'll have to figure out a particular cadence in which you do that. And that cadence, I just don't say towards the end of the project, but after every new lesson that you learned, um, you start documenting or remembering it if you have a great memory power. And then make sure you don't repeat the same old mistake that you have already done. That is where wisdom comes into play. People make mistakes. First time, we are human. Second time, if we are making the same old mistake, we are not learning the lessons, then we are fools. Yeah. So that's important.
Okay, there is a one more question related to my question. This is from Rishi. It is in the Q&A chat box. He is asking, won't the previous storm also give a clue about what all to set up in strategic approach so that it doesn't occur in next storm?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Perfect. I mean, I would say, while I said, yeah, that's a very good question. And thanks, Shikha. Um, Now I am realizing whatever answer I gave to you, probably it's not 100% correct. I shouldn't say not correct, but not complete. Because the kind of person I am, I invite challenges because that is when the best out of us comes. Yes or no? So while a real project manager prevents the storm which is good for the project delivery, people in the team also have to learn lessons continuously. And during escalations, people learn a lot, both the team and the leaders. In fact, the litmus test of leadership, if you ask me, is how they behave during the times of escalations. So it's very important that you go back, learn the lessons out of the storm, and of course avoid it. But then it's better to get into such not so big escalations, but smaller escalations so that you'll have the learning curve going. Yeah?
There is one more question in the Q&A chat box. It is from Harish. He's asking, what is the prospect of AI or overcoming project management? What strategy can be applied in continuing the projects to be ongoing without any hamper?
Yeah. So AI in project management is coming up really. I think there are many courses available in RPM for myself, right? And of course, it's very important that any, of course, all manual activity that you do can be 100% replaced by AI. Everyone knows this. So I'll rephrase the same sentence. Execution has become very easy these days. Information become a commodity. It's democratized completely. Yes. So it's not what's not important is whether you are knowledgeable or not. What is important is how you're applying your knowledge. So in project management, AI applications start focusing on those areas where AI is not yet equipped to perform really well. For example, strategic aspect of project management, strategic thinking. I told you, right? I don't think AI is there yet. Of course, if you tell AI to do operational, even tactical activities, it will do. Execution, very good. As I told you, information became a commodity. In knowledge is it's democratized now. Everyone has this weapon of being able to disseminate knowledge. How you apply is important. Now, this wisdom of applying the knowledge right way comes from the leadership experiences, which is the strategic elements. So, if you have to thrive in AI era in project management, you will have to identify the strategic areas like leadership.
Okay. Next question is from Udaynath. He's asking, is there any methodology to follow in sequence or as priority?
As I touched upon this in the session, Udainath, I'm not a fan of any methodology. Context is the king. You will have to bring the best of all the worlds and apply and see if it's working for you or not. There's no like agile waterfall. There's nothing like that. Contextually, you'll have to pick the best from everywhere and see if it is serving the bigger purpose. Remember, outcomes are achieved. If the outcomes are achieved, then it's fine. And one thing I would like to add, outcomes should be achieved in a sustainable way. Yeah.
I think that's it. There is one request from Muhammad Arif. He's asking, is there any freelance project opportunity?
Wrong question. Wrong one. I don't know.
Okay, so that's it. I think that is the end of the session. There are no new questions from the attendees. So thank you, Ishwar, for your wonderful session. And this is very interesting and informative session. And please accept a certificate of appreciation. I'll just share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, Shikha, I can see your screen.
Okay, so please
Thanks.
accept. Please accept a certificate of appreciation from our end as a small token of thanks for accepting our invitation to present today's PMP Pit Stop session, and looking forward to invite you for presenting other interesting topics in coming months. So thank you, Ishwar. I'm really grateful that you joined this session and gave this valuable knowledge to all the attendees. It is very, very nowadays all startups. There are a boom of startups coming up, so this is a very good topic, and I think attendees must be very beneficial from this. So thank you. And feedback form link is already shared in the chat box. So please give your feedback on that link. And please note that 1.5 PDUs will get credited automatically in your account for attending today's session. And so thank you once again, Ishwar, for your informative session. And thank you to all the attendees who joined today's this session. Meet you next session soon. Bye bye.